Saddam Haftar was not a miracle sent from the sky, but the product of a military equation shaped by 10 years at his father's side and by experiences that taught him the meaning of hardship and victory. Saddam moved through the heart of challenges and never stopped rising. He was not raised in palaces, but was a son of his time and generation. And it was experience alone that shaped him into a prominent military leader, capable of resilience and steadfastness in the most difficult of times. Saddam Haftar is not a simple commander, but a military man who knows when to show firmness, combining sharp insight with strength of character, mastering the art of silence and speech, and possessing a high level of focus on details. From the heart of storms, he emerged victorious, with patience and wisdom. Despite conspiracies and schemes, what was written and said about him, and what was plotted against him, yet he continued on his path with steadfast resolve. In the battle to secure the southern borders, he succeeded in its most difficult aspects, militarily, socially, politically, and in media. He came to hold the keys to the tribes of the south, remaining in close contact with the Tebu, sitting with them and meeting their needs. This is the nature of a leader. Militarily, he was known for cutting off those who attempted to breach the borders, pushing even into the Niger frontier to pursue the fugitives and free captured soldiers. Dawn of February 2nd, 2026. Mohammed Ouagadougou, the arm of dirty missions, emerged from his hole after years to slowly prepare betrayal over a low fire, and launched an attack with a hybrid militia and foreign elements on the Al Toum border crossing, killing a number of members of the Libyan Arab armed forces and capturing others. Then appeared on media outlets announcing what he called the beginning of a southern liberation operation and the correction of the course of the February Revolution.
تحركنا اليوم من أجل إعادة تصحيح مسار ثورة 17 فبراير البزيدة.
But what had been planned as the beginning of a path of security chaos and a long-term drain on the strength of the Libyan army was thwarted at its inception. One decision, issued from Benghazi, reset the entire scene in the far south. General Staff Saddam Haftar brought down the largest plot of a cross-border alliance of terrorist militias and organized crime networks supported from within, aimed at igniting southern Libya and returning it to a cycle of fear and chaos under the control of fuel smuggling mafias and human traffickers. Here, the Salvador Triangle, the point overlooking chaos across 3 African states, Niger, Chad, and Sudan. Al Toum crossing emerges in the midst of a vast desert, not merely as a border point, but as a decisive point in Libya's security and stability. A tool that is either a lifeline or a dagger in the nation's side. Stretching along borders reaching 354 kilometers with Niger, and connecting to open routes exceeding 1,055 kilometers with Chad. An open area to the unrest of neighboring regions, a vast space where smuggling routes intersect with organized crime networks and cross-border terrorist militias. The targeting of the Al Toum crossing by Ouagadougou was not a random choice, but a malicious plan whose dimensions were drawn in dark rooms, with the aim of dragging southern Libya into a swamp of terrorism and criminal influence. Back in 2012, Ouagadougou was the architect of smuggling routes in the region, managing fuel, weapons, and human trafficking networks. In 2018, he led a terrorist attack in alliance with foreign militias to seize control of Seba and turn it into an emirate for mercenaries, thieves, and bandits. But Libyan army operations at the time ended the ambitions of Ouagadougou's gangs, forcing him to flee toward Tripoli. For years, Ouagadougou remained a burnt card, appearing from time to time until recently, when someone chose to invest in his criminal past. The architect of smuggling networks was brought back from the bench and supplied with money and weapons to become the spearhead of a plan to tear apart the stability of the South and distort the image of the military institution and that of the Deputy General Commander, General Saddam Haftar. The rising general, who nearly 3 years ago fought border battles for months against local and foreign smuggling militias that had undermined the stability of the South. From al-Araneb and Seba through Tragen, Murzouk, and Al-Katroun, reaching Gat and Ubari in the far southwest. What was drawn in dark rooms did not unfold on the ground, as planned by Ouagadougou's handlers behind the scenes.
هل طلبت منهم معلومات ما؟
في هجوم مفاجئ نفذه مسلحون وصفوا أنفسهم بأنهم ثوار الجنوب.
While these scenes were spreading across social media and media networks and promoted by newspapers, channels, and paid voices as a decisive moment of a revolutionary military rebellion that would change the face of southern Libya, Lieutenant General Saddam Haftar was putting the final touches on a plan to hunt the scorpions in their burrows, a race against geography and time to recover the nation's soldiers and impose its sovereignty over the entire border strip and the Al Toum crossing. Elite units of the Libyan army advanced under strict orders and direct supervision of the Libyan general to execute an operation penetrating deep into the desert, 150 kilometers beyond Libya's borders, reaching the heart of the camps of cross-border terrorist militias, moments that held the breath, followed by direct clashes, through which the Libyan army managed to recover its soldiers and deliver direct strikes to militia strongholds, resulting in the killing and capture of dozens and the seizure of large quantities of weapons and military vehicles prepared to infiltrate the south through the Al Toum Gap, targeting the border crossing in such a complex geographic area was not random fire in the desert, but a trap set in dark rooms, funded by parties seeking to disrupt the armed forces and drag them into side battles to undermine the stability and security that had been established by the Deputy General Commander through his repeated visits and direct supervision of reconstruction projects and southern security operations to protect its security and stability. And that was not all, for the course of events reveals a shocking surprise. The attack on Al Toum crossing was not an isolated incident, but the beginning of a project aimed at aborting the path of restoring the national fabric and the Together for the South initiative, launched by the General Command and overseen by Lieutenant General Staff Saddam Haftar through development, agricultural, and service projects initiated during the Journey of Faithfulness, in which the South and the Al Toum crossing were among its main stations, less than 2 months before the attack. In a defining moment, Lieutenant General Saddam Haftar reset the rhythm of security in the south, continuing the path of reinforcing Libya's unity through repeated meetings with dignitaries, notables, and tribal elders. the latest of which was a Friday meeting with the family of House of Representatives member Ibrahim al-Darsi and a number of sheikhs and notables of the Al-Darsa tribe, praising their national role and the sacrifices of their sons, and affirming his keenness and continuous follow-up on the progress of the investigations into the disappearance of the MP, stressing the necessity for the assigned committee to reach clear results that reveal the circumstances of the case within a short period.
وقال نحن نتأسف لكم وسامحونا لأننا قصرنا، يعني هذه بروحها يعني تسد. وقال نحن اعتبارا إن شاء الله من يوم هذا وعدوا لقد القضية هذه نشرف علينا بروحي، ومطلبكم مطلب شرعي ومن حق تبوا مصير رجلكم حي والله ميت، هذه من حق، وهنا حنشرف على الموضوع هذا أنا بروحي شخصيا ونكلف لجان لين نطلع لكم مصير إبراهيم حي والله ميت.
From the meeting with the Al-Darsa family to another scene in Al-Marj, General Saddam Haftar meets with the region's notables and sheikhs and a number of armed forces officers at a Ramadan iftar banquet that was an extension of his approach in weaving the threads of national unity through field visits to Libyan cities and towns, listening to their residents and identifying their needs to be included within the project of Libya's stability and prosperity. From the dust of battles that cleansed the borders and protected the south, to the halls of meetings that restored the national fabric, Saddam Haftar emerges as the architect of a new phase that resets security and stability along the extended borders, through which he imposed a tightly controlled security equation that allows no breach, decisive decisions, and a strong field presence that defined the limits of influence and imposed a new reality where events do not move by chance, but proceed within a sovereign path managed with precision. Throughout his military career, Saddam demonstrated his skill in defining objectives and executing missions, with one hand on the trigger, defending the nation and its sovereignty, and the other extended toward reconstruction, in loyalty to its land and its people.